do you, and perhaps this is more of a Jepson question, but I think others can chime in too. Do you think that realistically, where the market is right now in 2024, do you think that there is a disconnect between the marketing of AI and the actual capabilities of AI?
Hmm. That's that's hard. The way I've been thinking about it recently is 90% of people they stub their toes and they're disappointed, and then you have 10% that are determined to make it work no matter what. So all the things that these systems do poorly, catastrophic forgetting, you could come up with a list of things. You have a 5 or 10% sliver in the market where they're just making it work regardless. They're just building more advanced agent systems to handle it. Um, so you have kind of the two sides of disappointment. It's overhyped, it's not there yet, and then you have a small sliver that's being very productive.
No, you said you used the phrase being determined to make it work. Is it being determined to make it work because there is real business value that
Yeah.
there
Oh
is,
yeah,
or okay.
there's real business value. So for people that want to automate QA testing, I would say, is there something off the shelf that will do that reliably? No. If you are determined to make it work, yes, you can make it work. And you can come up with systems that can escalate potential intermediates or things that aren't working quite well. I'm pretty bullish on agents being much more capable than people realize. I think the main thing is large context windows suck, and there are things you can do to manage that much better.
Would you then say, Jefferson, that it's not so much that there is a disconnect between the actual potential of these tools and what they can accomplish, but mainly how accessible they can be to get started and go
Yeah,
from zero to project?
yeah. Maybe a good analogy would be Legos. Like if you buy a Lego set and you're disappointed, then you can't do much. But if you're determined to rebuild it or re-engineer it, you'll be fine. So the extensibility of the systems and the potential capabilities are all there, and they're quite profound. But you have a lot of people that are still they're not seeing the value, and I would say they're not determined.
We've been to conferences. I think everyone here. There's a lot of. One of my favorite things to do is walk around conference halls and just look at vendors' pitches for AI. I don't say anything. I just observe, take pictures, make me make mental notes. But I mean, I think there's especially from last year to this year. I mean, there's no doubt that every vendor has suddenly become an AI vendor of some sort, right? It's kind of the prisoner's dilemma. You either do it or your competitors are going to do it, so you're going to do it because that's just how that works. So, uh, and it is interesting. I think there are definitely some claims I see from certain vendors where I kind of scratch my head and swear to myself and walk off in a bit of a storm of heated anger to myself and to them. But that's how it is. That's how every hype cycle is, right? And we're at the beginning of another one. But we've been here before, right? We've been here with deep learning. We've been here with other advancements. We're here with big data. We're here with other hype cycles. The difference between now and then is AI got consumerized, right? So everybody now is it's top of mind. Like I can, my kids use ChatGPT, right? I think that's the big difference. My kids weren't using deep learning for a lot of reasons. They were also really young back then. But so it captured everyone's imagination. I mean, Jepson and I were at a certain conference in the Middle East last year, and I was walking around and I saw a fiber optic vendor that was claiming to be an AI company. I was like, okay, this kind of jumped the shark a bit, right? And so, but when it comes to reality now, I think last year was all about let's imagine the possibilities of this thing, right? Generative AI. Along the way, generative AI also became synonymous with classical machine learning and everything else, right? So now it's just everything's AI. Right? Don't even get me started on this one.
The
But
calculator, AI.
calculators AI, yeah, it's like my coffee mug's AI. It's crazy, but so I would sit in these panels and people would be like, singularity is going to be here in 3 years. I'm like, because of ChatGPT, I don't think you know what you're saying at all. But you're trying to say outlandish stuff because you're on a panel, basically. And I remember I lost my stuff on one person, just sort of went ballistic. It's poor person. Because you see a lot of these pronouncements, right? But at the end of the day, what's happening this year is I think things are becoming more grounded in reality. People are trying this stuff out on their data sets. I think more it's shining a mirror on how bad your data is. Like the question I've asked probably to tens of thousands of people in my talks around the world is, would you put an LLM on top of your data today, sight unseen, and expect it to work? And second, would you bet your job that it's going to perform out of the gate? Nobody raises a hand. Because they think in the back of the head, they're like, yeah, I kind of want to, but I don't know. If you put it that way, maybe I won't. So, but this is, I think what's happening now with the conversations I'm seeing is people are investing in, you know, things like data quality, right? You didn't hear these discussions, observability, you didn't hear these discussions taken seriously today, right? Data observability is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'll get around to it when I get around to it, which will be like never. Or fixing my data, right? Data quality is one of these things where we always harp on it. Like we have to get good data, garbage in, garbage out. Now there's investments being made. The vendors I talk to who are in the data quality space, they're very busy right now. And so it seems like companies are finally taking these investments seriously. It's something I always ask. I mean, if you have all this hype and attention right now with AI and data is a core ingredient to making this work, if you don't fix this today, when are you ever going to do it? Right? You have all the attention, all the money that can be thrown at this like right now. So, you know, but it seems like it's happening.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, probably my favorite techie quote from the year, travel to all conferences, and one of our co-founders, Arsalan, said, kind of summarizing what you just said, Joe, that like 5-10 years ago, probably all of us on our call were, you know, talking data and kind of having to whisper, you guys should try AI. It's kind of cool, but you feel weird, so you have to whisper it. And now today it's the opposite. Everyone's shouting AI, and you have to kind of whisper, you really need good data underneath for a foundation. And then it also reminds me of, you know, everyone on AI, the fiber optic, like a meme of Leo DiCaprio, you know, make me invest in your pen company, and pushes a pen and it's like, this pen is powered by AI. So like everything.
Sell me this pen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny, Ari? I think I remember like 4 years ago. I think there was a year where a lot of people were saying AI, but this was before ChatGPT, and it was the end of the year. And I remember making a post like, "Hey, I am glad that the year of AI is over." And 2 years later, it's back. I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll call it AI this time." But to your point, I've seen AI powered light bulbs, which is just mind boggling to me if you ask me. So.
Well, I remember, Jepson, when we were, you know, this is a long time ago, but there was a certain startup we were involved with, more tangentially, but we actually couldn't use the term AI because it was unfashionable. If you were to use that, you may as well like have a giant mullet or something. I mean, it wasn't that cool. Actually, mullet's pretty cool now, but I mean, it was machine learning or predictive analytics back then, right? If you used AI, nobody would take you seriously. Now everyone takes. If you use anything else except AI, nobody's going to take you seriously.
We had a similar trend when we were building marketing attribution tools in Google. We had to call it data-driven because back then AI wasn't a thing yet.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
I mean, even part of Databricks' big marketing still is like, hey, we have strong data engineering fundamentals in there, foundation there. So that's why your AI is good. So
well, you haven't called yourself AI Bricks.
Oh, there's a thought.
So
I have too much brand already invested.
yeah.
But I know, AI, you know, there's hype where everyone is just riding the bandwagon. Was at AWS reInvent, and my brain just turned off since every single vendor had AI in it, and half the vendors had the same buzzwords. But those that will long-term survive will either be, you know, the companies that like are the plumbing underneath, which is why I'm thrilled to be where I am, or you know, kind of what we're all are hinting on, like a specific like end applications that AI makes it better. So whether it's like a personal assistant that goes through your emails, or Jepson's idea, you know, it goes and comes up with ideas while you sleep, and then you wake up and it gives you ideas of what the human can take action on. Like those are really helpful. Or some of the co-pilots may not be good enough for standalone product, but things that really help will break the hype from helpfulness.
Oh yeah, I mean, starting a new company is awesome. Sorry, but there's one thing. Like it's when you start a company today, it's awesome because you can reimagine what a company should be and start from the ground up using AI. So I'm like, let's put the pedal to the metal. Let's do everything. Why not? So
Yeah.
sorry, Chai, look like you wanted to say something.
Oh, no, no. I mean, I was just going to echo something you mentioned earlier, which is that like the role of things like data quality is super important now, in part because if you sort of rewind a couple of years, before we were dealing with sort of Gen AI based BI and we were looking at classical BI, 99% of the data is just left on the floor, and your actual decision making at the boardroom is really just using 1% of everything that's being collected. Now you actually have an opportunity to really create this tight feedback loop between a product and all the data it's generating, so that you actually have sort of AI and machine learning models try to drive as many of the fine grained decisions as possible while still reserving some of the coarse grained decisions to the humans.